What is going on there, YouTube? And welcome back to another comic book video. This is the channel where we sit down and cover different comic book stories from different comic book companies. Today, we're going to jump back over to Marvel Comics and pick up with the Ultimate Marvel Comics. We have been covering this alternate universe for a while now, and we pick up with Ultimate Spider-Man. Well, really, the second Miles Morales story in the Ultimate Marvel Universe. So if you like today's comic book video, please leave me a like down below and also subscribe to the channel for more content to come in the near future. Also, any suggestions on books I should read, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But I do hope you enjoy today's video. With this volume, we pick up with Aaron Davis, the uncle of Miles Morales. Remember, in our first video, we found out that Aaron Davis had disappeared and no one knew where he went to. Well, he went to Mexico. The reason why is because, one, this is Brian Michael Bendis giving us a new Scorpion in this universe, since the last one is not going to be used anymore. But to also give us the reason why Aaron Davis broke into Oscorp back in our last video. Scorpion is this kingpin character in Mexico who hired Aaron Davis, who is the Prowler in this universe, to steal something from Oscorp that apparently belongs to him, except of course Prowler does not have it. But we pick up with Miles Morales, and this is showing us him enjoying being Spider-Man now, because in the last video he was scared, but now he is trying to enjoy the idea of it, where we see him trying to fight against some crooks in the city, trying to steal an old lady purse, where of course he comes down and he struggles at first since he is still a new hero. But of course, once he is able to get the hang of it, he is able to beat these crooks. Now, the important part of this section is when the police come and make him leave the scene. Betty Brant is there, who used to work for the Daily Bugle. Well, she takes a picture of Miles Morales and she is going to use it as proof to show the world that there is a new Spider-Man in town, but to also get her job back. Now we jump back to Aaron Davis in Mexico again, who is meeting up with the Scorpion, where Scorpion is asking for what he hired the Prowler for, but Prowler wants his money first. So Scorpion is nice enough to give him the money, but that is when Prowler decides to double cross Scorpion by stabbing him. Except this is where we learn that Scorpion may have some kind of power, because with the Prowler stabbing him, nothing happens. And this makes Aaron Davis run away, except he runs into the police down there and gets arrested. Back to Miles, we see him coming home for the weekend, because he is at boarding school, where he lives on school grounds throughout the weekdays. Then on weekends, he is back at home. This leads into a conversation he has with his mom, because in our last video, Miles' father told him about how he and Aaron Davis used to be crooks, but Miles' father got out of that life. Now the reason why this is being brought up again is because when Miles was younger, his parents told him that line about how he has part of them inside of him. So he is scared that he might have the bad side of his father inside of him, because he sees his father being a bad guy in a way. This conversation is interrupted by Genki coming over to give Miles something. Really, it is just Genki giving Miles the Spider-Man movie that was made in this universe. We covered that a while back, but tells Miles he needs to watch this movie to learn how to fight like Peter Parker did. Then the last 2 pages of this chapter is more of word getting out to the world about a new Spider-Man. Betty Brant goes back to Jonah at the Daily Bugle showing proof of a new Spider-Man, begging to get her job back. But in Mexico, with Aaron Davis, he sees a newspaper about Spider-Man and wonders why in the world is the paper talking about a new Spider-Man. More determined for him to get back to figure out what is going on in New York City. Now you have Bendis reminding us another thing about Miles' father, which is the idea of Miles' father, Jefferson, does not like superheroes. This is not him being hateful towards mutants, but to everyone who has powers. This is shown when the Daily Bugle paper shows Miles being Spider-Man and continues to bash the idea of heroes. But you do have Miles' mother kind of on his side and her showing her love for his Spider-Man alter ego. And so you have Miles leave and go out into the city, swinging around as Spider-Man. Now we have to remember that Miles Morales does not have web shooters. He only has the basic spider powers right now. He will get the web shooters soon, but this is him realizing he needs to test the limit of his powers. So he goes out to see what he can do. But also, he needs to clear his head after seeing another example of how much his father hates superheroes. Of course, this is the moment where he sees an explosion out in the middle of the city. And so he goes to see what the explosion is all about, where he comes to find out it is Omega Red. We saw this character a couple times in this universe, and he was used in those books as a way to support the main plot point, but not this time. This is where we learn that somehow Aaron Davis was able to get out of jail in Mexico, and he is back in New York visiting with the Thinker, the guy in this universe who makes different tech for people to use, where Aaron Davis asks a question about the new Spider-Man and also gives the origin of the last one. How Osborn made these spiders that went and bit Peter Parker and made him Spider-Man. That these spiders had numbers on them. Of course, this is where Aaron Davis remembers about the spider that bitten his nephew Miles Morales. That spider had a number on it, and of course it bitten Miles. And so he puts it together that Miles is the new Spider-Man. And so to make sure word does not get out, he kills off the Thinker. We could jump back and focus on Miles being Spider-Man fighting against Omega Red, but honestly it is nothing important. It is just someone to fight against Miles, and Omega Red thinks that Miles is Peter Parker, and so he really wants to kill Miles because of that, where of course Miles wins, and that is really it for this section. No, we don't see Omega Red again in this book. But after winning that fight, he goes back to school and meets up with his best friend Genki, where Genki is so excited about hearing that Miles was able to defeat Omega Red. But this fun moment is ruined when he is greeted by his uncle, Aaron Davis, at the front of the school. Then we pick up in Paris, where if you remember, after the funeral of Peter Parker, Tony Stark gave Aunt May and Gwen Stacy the ability to live somewhere away from New York, so they can get away from all of the drama about Spider-Man, where we see them and they are actually at peace with everything, except they see the news about Miles Morales being Spider-Man, which we can tell in their faces they are not happy about this at all. But back to focusing on Miles Morales and Aaron Davis, you have Miles tell Genki to leave so he can talk to his uncle alone. Now this was kind of obvious that this was going to happen in this book, where you have Aaron Davis coming to Miles' school for one to tell him that he knows, but to also begin the process of blackmailing Miles to help with some certain things. And you can tell right off the bat, it is most likely to deal with this new Scorpion Kingpin that could come to New York from Mexico. Before they are able to discuss more about this, you have the principal of the school ask Aaron Davis to leave the campus. Now we do get reintroduced to Frank Quad, and he was a character that was introduced in the post-Ultimatum Ultimate Spider-Man run, the one before this one, and he is the new captain of the police force who kind of worked with Peter Parker before he died, where we see him talking to the kangaroo, another character we met before who Miles Morales actually defeated. This point of this section is more than just talking about the fact that there is a new Spider-Man out in the world. In the Brooklyn area, we pick up with a few members of gang leaders having a poker night, where this seems like a normal thing, except that is when they are attacked by the Scorpion. He is here in New York, where of course he is looking for Aaron Davis for double crossing him, where these mobsters agreed to help him after being beat down by him. This is also the moment where you had a Scorpion decide that this is going to be his new place of business. He will become the new kingpin of New York. The next day we pick up with Miles Morales, who is out again being Spider-Man. But just like Omega Red, he has another villain he has to fight against, which this time it is going to be the Ringer. This is a villain that I don't understand why there are fans that like him. But this is just Miles Morales once again fighting a villain that he is able to beat. Him slowly learning how to fight against super villains. But after beating the Ringer, he is greeted by Frank Quad, where you have Frank Quad asking to talk. This is an important meeting because it is Frank Quad trying to figure out what Miles Morales' deal is. Can he trust him? Is this going to be another strange relationship with another Spider-Man? But he can clearly tell that this Spider-Man is younger than the last one and wants to make sure that this kid realizes what he is getting himself into. And you are trying to be a hero, but being a hero is not easy. So finally, you have Frank Quad tell Miles to leave before he is arrested. Focusing back on Aaron Davis again, where we see that after he left Miles' school, he went to one of his old bases that apparently the Scorpion knows about, because that is when he is confronted by Scorpion. This is where we learn that Scorpion has superhuman strength, super durability, and a healing factor. But again, Scorpion is here because Aaron Davis double-crossed him. Now this hideout is actually an old hideout of the Thinker, meaning that there is tech that Aaron Davis used to help him fight against the Scorpion before he is killed off by him. The fight does last for a few pages, but ends with Aaron Davis leaving when he was able to get the chance. This section closes with Miles getting back to school and thinking about his discussion he had with Aaron Davis, where it is Miles thinking about helping his uncle, hearing what his uncle wants to talk about, and also maybe his uncle can help him with different things. With him thinking that, Miles gets a text from his uncle, with his uncle asking him about if he is down to help. And we see that Miles agreeing to meet up with Aaron Davis. Now, the final chapter of this book is more of Miles and Aaron Davis kind of talking about the origin of Miles' power, where it is Miles getting confirmation about where his powers came from, but also shows him that Aaron Davis was able to figure out that he is the new Spider-Man. This is where Aaron Davis wants to know what Miles can do and can't do, and so he wants to fight against Miles. Miles is confused about Aaron Davis doing this to learn about his powers, but also it is Miles finally going up against someone who is a good fighter. Before Aaron Davis, it was people who just had enhanced powers who fought with just brute strategy. But for Aaron Davis, he is a fighter. He knows how to move. And so it is another learning lesson for Miles Morales to be a superhero. This does end with Miles showing Aaron Davis about the fact that he has the Venom shock power. This transitions into Aaron Davis continuing the process of blackmailing Miles Morales into helping him, which we can tell it is going to be him asking Miles to help dealing with the Scorpion problem, how Scorpion is a bad guy, and if Miles helps him to take him down, it will bring a high level of fame to Miles Morales because of the fact that the Scorpion is a kingpin in Mexico. Now Miles says no at first, but then you have him play the card, I will tell your father, because remember, Miles' father Jefferson hates heroes. So what will Jefferson do when he finds out his son is a hero? So Miles leaves, but Aaron can tell that Miles is going to help him. Now there are a few pages of Miles going around thinking about what to do. He thinks about going to the Ultimates to turn in his uncle, but he doesn't. Also, he goes to school and Genki can tell that something is wrong with Miles, but Miles does not really open up to him. When the weekend comes, Miles' parents can tell as well that something is wrong with him, but again, he does not say anything. The story closes on Miles texting his uncle and talking about actually helping out with taking down the Scorpion, and that will take place in our next video. And this is where we're going to end today's video at. So please, leave me a like down below and also subscribe to the channel for more content to come in the near future. Also, any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But I'll see y'all next time. Later, guys.